Welcome to the Providence College Podcast. Subscribe to the show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. If you like what you hear, please review and share with others. Email podcast@providence.edu with questions or comments. Go Friars.
Hello and welcome to the Providence College Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Chittum, and I'm joined as always by PC producer and videographer Chris Judge, class of 05. Here at the Providence College Podcast, it's our job to bring you interesting stories from inside the Friar family. And today we are joined by two guests. We have Jovana, Nogic. Thank you. I appreciate it. Also known as Yoyo. Thank you for being here, as well as Clara, Tortola. I mispronounced it 10 times in the intro. Before we started, I appreciate you being here as well, CC. Thank you for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you.
So we're just finishing up reading week. We got finals, we got exams. I know you are super busy, so we definitely appreciate you coming on. And this 2-week period between games, which is kind of unique. Once you get started and you have to stop for a little bit and get going. What's it like, kind of managing that 2-week period?
Well, we have way more time to study, but we still have practices and some lift. So we definitely are trying to get some rest and sleeping a little more, but we also are thinking about the exams that we have going on and also about basketball. Got it.
And so both of you, you're not Native Americans. You came here from Serbia and Spain as well. So thank you for first of all, for coming to PC. You guys have made a huge, contribution to the school in general and the team specifically. You guys are having a good year, and I'm excited to dive into the stats. But before we get into that, how did, Yoyo, start with you? How did you even start with, playing basketball, and how did you get introduced to the game?
I guess basketball was always in my family because my dad's a coach, so it was always there. It started just by going when I was like 3 years old. After school, I would just go to my dad's practice and just sit there because I would need a ride home, so I would just stay with him and just play with the ball, trying to reach the hoop. And then as the years went on, the love for the game grew in me, and I just fell in love with it since then.
So were you playing other sports as well?
Before, I also played tennis, but it was for 3 years or so. It was before I started playing basketball.
And it was, obviously those are two very different sports. One, you got the whole team sport identity, and with tennis, it's, you can have different people in your tennis group, and you're certainly maybe have a community around that. But obviously, it's a very different sports, I would assume, for you.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I also chose just to stick with basketball, because I needed to be around the team and to be around a group of people. So that was the main reason I chose to stick with basketball.
Got it. And how about you, CC?
I don't have a story like that. I just started playing basketball because I didn't practice any sports. So my brother played basketball when he was around 15 or 14, and my best friend was part of a basketball team. So I just joined his team, and since that, like Yoyo, the love of basketball started growing in me.
So what age were you when you started?
8.
8, okay. So
yes.
You're still very early. You get it going. So for you, when did basketball become kind of like a year-round sport for you versus just seasonal? During the winter I play basketball, and the summer I do something else. Cece, we can start. Whichever. Okay. Yeah, we might go back and forth here, but just dive in.
Okay, so in Europe, sports don't go like they do here. So once I started playing basketball was my only sport.
Oh, okay.
So I could have practiced more sports, but basketball is all around the year. So I play basketball in winter, spring, summer, and autumn.
Got it. So you really have to decide early on which sports you want to stick with, I guess.
Yeah, but you can also, so the season starts in September and goes all the way until, I would say, May or April maybe. And it's longer than here, but it's you only focus on one sport. You don't have in high school here, you can have 2 or 3 sports. Back home, you just play one sport.
And at what age do you have to make the determination which sport you want to choose?
It's not that you have to make a determination. I know some people that play 3, 4 sports, but let's say that once you start being very good and you want to achieve a goal in that sport, you really can focus in one. So it's not that you have to make a decision, but I guess I'm talking of me, but I'm also talking for Yoyo. It's that once we saw that basketball was what we wanted to focus on, we decided not to play any sport.
All right, that makes sense. So when you're deciding, so once you decide the sport, you say, all right, I'm going kind of all in with this one sport. I think this is the best sport for me. How do you decide which team that you're going to be a part of? Is it like, I know, and obviously in the United States, there's kind of the school-based system where, hey, I'm in 8th grade, I'll be on my middle school team, but then you also have different club teams as well. So how does it work in your countries?
So back home, you usually have school in the morning and a little bit of the afternoon, and then at night you would have your team's practice. So the school and the team are two completely different things. And then basically in each city you would have, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 teams, and then you would choose to which one you would want to go, either the best one or the one you would play more time or the one that's closer to your house. That's how you choose it.
Yeah. Same thing for you, Cece?
Yes.
Okay.
Same thing.
So when you're deciding on that team, is it kind of like for you specifically, was it more of like a decision that you made, or was it your parents get involved and it's kind of like a family decision, or how did you decide which club teams to play for? And was it a system where it was like, all right, it's one team and they have different age groups, so you just kind of keep going up and up and up, or is it a different team per age group?
What I did, I started playing with my best friend, so I just went with him. And it was a very small team that it was closer to my hometown. But then my hometown, I guess that opened a club of basketball, so I moved there. But I had 2 very good years. So the best team in the city of Valencia, that's where I'm from, they called me. So I started practicing with them once every week. And after they told me that I could go and play for them. So I played for them 5 years, and it was age groups. So when I had 14, they called me to go to another club in Spain that was in Barcelona, and I decided that was a better fit for me. So I left home when I was 15 to play for another basketball team.
For me, I just stick with the same team since I was 8 too, until I came to the U.S. So it was all in the same team.
Oh, wow. That obviously makes it easier for you to do that. But at the same time, I guess, Cece, as you got better, you kind of more opportunities arose for you. Mm-hmm. So at what point for each of you did you view coming over to the United States to play in college as something you wanted to do?
So as I said, back home, school and the basketball, they're not connected. So once you get to college, it starts to be a little bit more difficult to connect the both. So because I think school back home is a lot more demanding in terms of times and work. It's hard, and a lot of people find trouble with doing both of them together. So that's why people that choose to follow their basketball career more seriously, they come to the U.S. because here, I mean, obviously the sports are within the school, so you can do both, and it's a lot more easier.
So you really don't have a college sports system back there. You have sports and you have college, and you kind of make a decision which one you want to pursue.
Yeah, I mean, obviously school has to be one, but it starts to be a lot more difficult because you cannot go to practice because you need to study. You cannot go to practice because you have a group project. So it starts to be very difficult to keep up with your basketball career.
Right. And how about you, Cece? When did you decide, okay, playing basketball in college is going to be important for you, and why did you end up making that decision versus, just doing exactly what Yoyo had just said in terms of, all right, maybe I just stay with school and maybe basketball is not going to be something I pursue any longer?
I made that decision my senior year of high school. I was pretty late doing that decision, but it was very similar to Yoyo. I know that I wanted to keep playing basketball, but I also know that I wanted to keep studying. And I'm really into trying new things and new experiences. So I thought that the best fit for me was to come to the U.S., see how it is, study at the same time, learn English and play basketball, and go for it.
So how do people say going back to your high school, you're 16, 17, 18 years old, how do you get into basically the radar of a college coach? Like, how would they know that you're someone they would want to recruit, or how would they know that you would be potentially interested?
So I guess you try to find a person that has a lot of connections with coaches and schools over here. So what you do is basically you get videos from your games and create some sort of highlights. And the coaches that are interested, they just contact you.
Okay, so do you play in any tournaments as well? Like, do they ever have a chance to see you in person versus just seeing you over video?
When Providence College contacted us, after they were really interesting, and I think that they had already determined that they were gonna give us the scholarship, that actually came to Spain and they came to Portugal to see us playing.
Oh, okay. So the scholarship offer came first, and then they saw you playing in Spain and Portugal. So obviously you guys must have made a pretty good impression to get the scholarship offer over video when they saw you in person. That's a pretty good sign. And then this past summer, just kind of skipping ahead a little bit. This past summer, you both played in, I just want to make sure I get this exactly right, the 2017 FIBA Under-20 European Championship teams. So you played for Spain. I'm sorry, for Serbia. Right. CC, you played for Spain. Had you played in any of those tournaments prior to this summer?
I played in, so the way it works is you have under 16, under 18, and under 20. So, and with each group age, you have 2 years, because it's the year that you're part of the younger one and then the part that you're the older one. So I played in 6 of them. I played in 5 out of 6.
Okay. And Cece?
I played under 18 and under 20, but just my age, so I went to 2 of them.
Okay. And how do you get selected for these teams?
So I guess because the official tournaments are under 16, but we also have under 15 and under 14. Like, the Spanish Federation of Basketball has a very good knowledge about the players of that generation, and they have known us since we were little. So they look at the stats. They also think about what kind of players they want for that team. And I guess that because our generation have a lot of players that play overseas, they also watch some games that we play here and see how are we doing, and they also contact us. So we gave our feedback about how are we feeling in terms of basketball.
Got it. And at the younger age groups, do you end up having, obviously for the under 20 group, you're over here, you're playing in college, it's not like you could go to a tryout, something like that, unless it's in the summertime. So with the younger group, like you mentioned, you started playing with the under 16-year-olds, Yoyo. So was there a tryout at that level? And then kind of once you make the team, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be retained year after year?
So when I was still back home, I was living in Portugal, but I chose to play for the Serbian national team. The way it works, we had like a tryout during winter, and they would choose, I don't know, maybe like 20 girls, and out of those 20, maybe 6 or 8 of us got the spots, because it would be like 2 groups of 20 girls, and then they would choose out of those 40 girls, they would choose 20 girls that would go to try out in the actual stuff in summer. So I went to the winter tryouts, and then they chose me to keep up, so I also went to the summer tryouts, and from then they always kept calling me.
Got it. So is that a goal for either of you? Like, you have kind of long-term goals and short-term goals. Every 2 years, was that kind of a basketball goal that you might have had?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. Every year.
And at that point, especially for teams that have kind of a lot of returning players, you must get to know a lot of people on the other countries and all the teams and things like that.
Yeah, it's a very fun experience, because you go. It's summertime, so it's Division A. So it's 16 teams. 16 teams. It's each division, and you're all fighting for the same goal. And there's like 2 or 3 hotels that all the teams are in, and then some teams are on the same floor, and it's just really fun because you get to hang out with people from other countries that have the same passion as you, the love for basketball, and you just get to know them, and it's really fun.
Now, did you two know each other before you came to Providence College?
We actually have a very funny story. So when we were under 18, me and Yoyo were we were playing in Slovenia, and we were in the same hotel, in the same floor, and we almost have the same schedules. So if I was going to breakfast, Serbia was there. If I was going to lunch, Serbia was there. And all my teammates knew that Yoyo was going to be my teammate. And all her teammates know that I was going to be her teammate. But we never, ever say hi to each other.
Was this like a rivalry thing? You guys,
I guess we just were
very shy.
Yeah, we just didn't want to say hi to each other.
yeah, because you don't seem very shy now. No. So,
We were looking at each other like, I know that you are going to be my team, but I actually never I was very shy to say, hi, I'm Cici, I'm going to be your teammate next year.
Got it. So then this year obviously was a very different experience because, not only do you get to know a lot of the players on other teams through the other tournaments, but especially for the under 20 group, all of them are in college. So you're experiencing some people who you might be playing against in the tournament might be your teammates in college, or you might be playing in the same conference, whether it's the Big East or whatever. So for you this past summer, what was it like for you two specifically? All of a sudden, you're not teammates anymore. You're on opposing sides. You're 2 of 16 teams that are in it. Is there a little rivalry going back and forth as you were preparing?
I would say so, maybe a little bit, but it's very funny because in the actual tournament, the European Championship, we didn't play against each other, but we had like a tournament before the tournament in France, and it was just 4 teams: us, France, Portugal, and Spain. And Spain won that tournament, but it was very funny because my team, Serbia, we were the only team beating them. So that was very fun for me.
So what felt better, Cici, to win the tournament? I guess which had a bigger impact on you, winning the tournament or losing to Yoyo? Which do you remember most from that 4-game tournament?
I have to say winning the tournament. I will never admit the other thing.
Well, speaking of winning, your team won that under 20 championship and have won 6 of the last 7 for Spain. So what about Spain? Why is Spain so dominant?
I think we really have good clubs, so the development of the players is actually very good. And I guess we are also, talking about my generation, we always have been very competitive. So we've known each other since we were 12 years old, and we have played against each other and with each other for a long time. So I guess that it's a culture that has been built, and I hope it stays like that for a long time.
I can imagine, right? You don't want it going away. And for you, Yoyo, what was the highlight of the tournament for you?
This year, I have to say that the tournament didn't go as we expected it to go for us. But I don't know. We had a 4-3 record overall. But I guess just the experience in itself, playing against, because now it was our last chance to play with the national teams before going to the actual senior level. And it was nice to see how we had grown since we were under 16, and just to see the maturity level coming out in the game, and the fact that we learn from each other and we make each other better. I would just say the overall experience.
How about you, Cici?
I guess the same as Yoyo, because it was the last chance that all of us could play together and finish the Spanish experience like that was very good. And it was also in Portugal, so it was not very far away from Spain. So we actually had a lot of fans coming and watching us play.
Oh, so you didn't mention that when you talked about the Spain's dominance. You had a home court advantage.
No, we didn't. But to say that we had more fans than most of the teams could.
Right. And so we're at Providence College right now. So why, for each of you, Yoyo, I'll start with you. Why did you end up deciding to come to PC?
It just felt like home to me. The previous staff, they really made me feel like home, and just it's a small school. It's not a very big school, so I guess somehow everyone gets to know each other and gets close to each other, and it really, really felt like home. So that's the main reason.
How about you, Cici?
I was also decided by the feelings, because I just met 2 of the coaches. I never visited Providence College before, neither the US. So I guess that for me was the right choice to be made.
So not coming to campus before, not seeing the U.S. before, when you made that decision, how nervous were you when the time came to actually come to campus?
I was extremely nervous. I didn't know how I had to say hi to the people, if they give 2 kisses, if they hug each other. I was just waiting for them to make the first step.
Got it. So even just like your first interaction, you were nervous about, never mind all the other interactions.
Yeah. And my English was not very good, so I also had that problem.
Well, it's very good now, so thank you for doing this. How about you, Yo-Yo? What was the biggest, nervousness or anxiety that you had coming to campus?
I had been, so unlike CC, I had already been to do my visit, and I kind of get to know the campus back then and the people and all of it, but just the fact coming in here and knowing that this would be my home for the next 4 years, it just, I don't know how to describe it, but it was a big thing for me.
Right. And then this year's going pretty well. Y'all are 6-5 right now. So you have, like I said, a 2-week break you're in the middle of, and then you have one more game, and then Big East play starts up. So just a couple stats for some of the people listening right now. PC is currently 10th in the country in 3-point field goal percentage at 41%, 41.44%, I should say. Yo-Yo is tied for 6th in the country in 3-pointers made per game and 3rd in the country in free throw percentage. CC very close to the top 50 in 3-point field goal percentage. You're at 45%. You've made 18 out of 43s. So given your strengths as shooters, it must be nice playing in a system that allows you to shoot so many threes.
Yeah, it's very nice, but that's not all that we do, and we just need to keep improving our overall game and keep showing that teams that just because they stop our 3-point shot, that doesn't mean that they stopped us, because we have a lot of other strengths.
That's a good point, because even though the team has shot 41.4% from 3-point range, your 2-point percentage is higher than that. You guys are shooting roughly 48% from 2-point range. So do you feel like your ability to score in the paint helps you from 3-point range, or do you feel like because you're such good 3-point shooters, it opens it up in the paint?
I think it goes both ways. When we put the ball inside and they are very aggressive, then the help might go to them and we can have open shots. Or even when they are very into us, then they are not paying as much attention to the paint. So I think it goes both ways. Both players help us and we help them.
That's a good point. And just if you look at the stats nationally, teams that shoot the percentage that PC shoots from 3-point range usually attempt a lot more threes than we do. So when you're deciding what's a good shot and a bad shot, how do you decide that in each possession?
Every shot is a good shot. That's the mentality you have to have. If you don't think you're gonna make it, then don't shoot it. If you're gonna hesitate, don't shoot it. In your head, you always have to think, every shot, I'm gonna make it. It's a good shot.
Right. And then also, obviously, you have to decide, all right, do you want to shoot too early in the shot clock? And you have the other situations you have to think through. But I guess at that point too, because you look at, so we've attempted, I'm looking at the stats right here, we've attempted 198 threes over 11 games. And the vast majority of teams who shoot that percentage, shoot maybe 50% more threes per game than we do. So when you come into each game, is there a certain game plan about how to, the kind of shots you're looking for game in, game out, or is that just more of a system, this is how we play?
It's more how we play. We always shoot the shots that we practice. So that's why we have a high percentage in 2 and also in 3, because all the shots that we take is because we had practiced them already.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then we have one game left before Big East play. We're playing home against Providence College at noon on December 21st.
Boston College.
What was that?
Boston College.
Is that not what I said? Okay, my bad. It's not inter-squad scrimmage. That's exactly right. So Boston College. And then going right into Big East play against Georgetown. So is there a difference, Yoyo, I'll start with you, in terms of the intensity of the games once you get into Big East play?
Yeah, definitely, because I feel like the Big East Conference is one of the best conference in the U.S., so the intensity of the game, the speed of the game, teams are much more physical, and it's a lot more demanding. You need to be focused the entire 40 minutes of the game, otherwise they will take any advantage they can get.
Right. Is it more exciting as a team once you go into those games, Cece?
I think all the games are very excited to play, but it's true that when you play Big East, there's something special on it.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially when you have a situation where you play each team twice and you can say, all right, whether we won or lost the first game, it's exciting to kind of go back and see what you can do a second time, which is obviously always enjoyable. And then what is it like for those games that happen during kind of in between the semesters, right? So like there's no one on the campuses, right? It's like whether you're here and you're practicing and like it's only you and the men's basketball team and then there's no one else on campus or you're going to a road game. What's it like that mid-semester break versus when you're playing, late January, February, March?
Well, I have to say that it has its advantages and disadvantages. On one side, it's really good because no one's on campus, so it's very peaceful and quiet, and you have the entire campus for yourself. But then you also don't have as much people going to your games as you wanted to, the students and other athletes. So I would say it has a look in both ways.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And then I guess last thing, first of all, thank you so much for joining me. This has been great. It's great talking to you too. And obviously you're having a very successful season and you're both, so easy to talk to. Before we get going, just the European women's basketball scene, a lot of people in America might not know about it, but it's obviously very, very popular. And even for WNBA stars, they will go and play in Europe as well. So they kind of like 2 professional seasons and they'll make most of their money over in Europe and then they'll come back and play in the WNBA as well. So when you look forward to, your post-college life, is that, when you're thinking about, all right, what are my potential options? Is basketball potentially in your future?
I know that I want to keep playing basketball until I enjoy it. So when I look at my future, I know that at least for 2 years or 3 years, I want to keep playing basketball. But now I'm thinking to play overseas. So I don't think I will present to the draft or anything. Is that what you answer?
In my case, I would say that I would definitely like to make a career out of basketball and to make a life out of it. It's not easy, that's for sure, but my goal is to play back home in the EuroLeague, which is like the top league in Europe, and then I don't know, maybe after a couple years in the EuroLeague, maybe then present to the draft, but I don't know yet.
Right. Well, we hope that doesn't happen anytime soon. We want to keep you here at PC for as long as we can. So thank you again for joining me, and go Friars.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.